us down. Every day's a battlefield between the light and the dark. Angels and demons try to tear us apart. Heavy on our shoulders is the weight of the world, but it makes us stronger, though the pain it burns. You can't hold us down, we never give up. Walking through the fire and the flame can't hold us down. 'Cause when the going gets tough, we're tearing through the metal chains. Can't hold us down, 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 yeah. Down, 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 can't hold us down, 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 yeah. Down, 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 can't hold us down. You 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 can't hold us down. We never give up. Walking through the fire and the flame can't hold us down. 'Cause when the going gets tough, we're tearing through the metal chains. Can't hold us down, 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 yeah. Down, 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 can't hold us down, 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 yeah. Down, 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 can't hold us down. Can't hold us down.
Well, hello, 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 and I know that you all are out there in YouTube land now because unfortunately Facebook did not really work for us for some reason, somehow, folks. YouTube seems to be a better format for this than it seems to be for Facebook. So we have already posted the link. We're going to go ahead and continue start posting the links right here while you guys wait. Hopefully we'll get this all set, all taken care of. I'm going to go ahead and do this while we wait though here. I'm going to unmute our very, very special co-host that's coming in here tonight though. With us, we got the real deal, Mr. Peter McNeil. Peter, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? What's up, everybody? It's good to be back. I just walked into the door from a visit with my son. So excuse me being a little bit of a hot mess right now. I'm trying to bring in packages and Christmas gifts.
Oh, awesome. So I'm going to go out there to Talking Normal's Facebook site and type in this link here. So hopefully everybody can get to it. I know that we're all over the place tonight because of this silly Facebook mess and nonsense that's going on. But, you know, hey, we make do. We're going to do what we need to do to get on and broadcasting live here, which is almost a little ridiculous, but it is what it is. Talking Normal already has received 600 Facebook likes. We're going to get more and more and more as we go. But we're going to go ahead and post that. Let's see if it posts. Hopefully it posts. We've got all kinds of crazy messes going on here, trying to get Auntie on because evidently they want to shut down Auntie big time.
Why would anybody want to do that?
I don't know. Maybe he's got something really top secret he's got to say. I don't know. It's odd. You know, why would anyone want to shut down Auntie? You know.
Oh, we're going to have to figure that out.
Yeah. I'm going to have him log back in because it's... Let's see. I'm trying to get him in real quick here.
Okay.
994. There we go. And I'm going to post the Facebook link tonight because it's so freaking crazy. Let's see.
Oh. Oh.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to get all of this set up, folks, because it is so crazy. And I'm even going to post the link tonight. The Zoom ID number is out there. Okay, so we're going to get Auntie in here. Let me see here. Promote the panelist. All right, here. So, okay, this is interesting. I promoted him, and now, for some odd reason, it's just kind of hesitated. There we go, maybe. There we go. So, without further ado, we've got in here Mr. Auntie Pierrick. Auntie, how are you doing today? Looks like I need to invite you to turn on your camera for some odd reason. We got all kinds of technical issues going on here, glitches and stuff. All right. Unmute. I can't even unmute you. That's really weird.
Let me text him and see what's up.
Yeah, for some reason, somebody does not want you to be in here. This is very odd. So, as you can see, we're having a whole lot of technical issues, but there's a lot of things that are going on in the movement. And while we're waiting to get Auntie on here, and I'm not sure why his stuff is not working there. As you can see, we've had so many technical glitches and so many issues trying to get Auntie on for the last few weeks. We're going to go ahead and let's see here. I'm going to highlight spot. I'm just going to see if I can make him a co-host and see if that'll work. If that'll give him permissions. I don't know. This is odd. We've never had this happen before.
Could be his phone too. I'm texting him and he can't see it. He hasn't seen it.
Here we go.
Hey, there he is.
Auntie, are you on there, brother?
Yep.
All right.
Okay. I have to shut everything else down real quick. There we go. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I still got the other screen up for some odd reason. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to try and stop the video on that one. But it's not wanting to even stop. That's what's weird.
Yeah, that's what I was experiencing on my end on the computer.
Yeah, so somebody's tagging your computer all over the place. It's crazy. I don't know what the heck's going on. But evidently, probably somebody has tagged your computer for something, and so it's not letting you go on. And that's probably what difficulties you've been having. Yeah. So somebody's been fishing on you, my brother.
Yeah, it would shock me. They could fish away, look like a perch in a walleye.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and as we're talking here, I'll still try and share, but every once in a while you'll hear me mute, and that's because I'm sharing. Looks like we've got 6 people watching now. I'm sure we'll go ahead and get more as we speak. Obviously, we've got Peter the Real Deal McNeil with us tonight, and Rosemary may be joining us a little bit later. And I'm going to look at the panelist here, and I'm going to see if I can't take the other one off. As we
What's up, Pete?
What's going on, brother? How you been?
You know, I've been doing what I've been doing.
I see that.
Haters gonna hate.
Hey, listen, it is what it is, and I'm excited to have you on tonight and talk to you out in public. Besides our side talks and everything like that, but you know, it is what it is, and you know, people need to get shit off their chest, and I agree. And sometimes people need to know a lot of things, and that's where we're gonna head tonight and see what's what and what's your take on everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question, Ante. So, I mean, I want to ask you about, first off, I know that you've had your dealings with a certain organization out there with 2 letters and a number, and we'll just leave it at that. And I want to get your take on a certain individual by the name of Francesca Amato Banfield to start off with.
Oh, that's going to be a fun take. All right. Several years ago, I was the first one that started exposing this, and I use this term very loosely, woman, Francesca Amato Banfield. I exposed her for being the fraud that she is. You know, too many things didn't add up with her. A lot of things were brought into question. And, you know, I did a little research. There was nothing on her on the internet prior to 2014. You know, she claims that she's been part of this movement 11 plus years, but that's not true. The only thing I really found on the internet back then was, you know, 1 week's worth of video in 2014. And the story about her kidnapping her own son from the custodial father, and then taking off to another state, which, by the way, you know, I found out, you know, through keeping up with it, that she got sentenced to 60 days in jail, and just more recently, she lost her appeal. So expect her to be going to jail pretty soon for that.
So, Ante, let me ask you right there. Is that what intrigued you to start everything with Francesca? Because I don't know this woman at all. Like I heard of her. I don't know. I never had a dealing with her. I'll be quite honest. And so is this what triggered you to as a concern?
Well, you know, we sit back in the shadows oftentimes, and you know, we just pay attention to a lot of people. You know, that's something that I've done for quite some time. And, you know, I figured that one out a long time ago through the hard way of not being able to trust everyone that you run across in this movements and stuff like that. And, you know, that's just one of the learning curves you have to take when you first come in. And, you know, with that being said, you know, I found it real funny, you know, how, you know, she's just blowing up on the scene and stuff like that. And, you know, oh, look at this. So I'm just like, you know, I've been around for a couple of years at that time, you know, due to, you know, how I came into the movement. But I've been around for a few years, and I never heard of this broad before. And all of a sudden, you know, you got all these people talking about her, this and that. And I was like, where'd she come from? So, you know, I just sat back watching. And then, you know, there was 3 of us that we were talking, and I was over there like, you know what? I was like, I'm going to go in, you know, and I'm going to find out personally what this chick's about, since, you know, the 3 of us never heard of her. We don't know her. You know, we've been around. We know the people who've been around in the movement. Mm-hmm. And that's where I got in contact with her. Actually, one of the first messages she sent me was a nude of her. So it was a nude.
So you're starting off this whole process as I don't know who this woman is. She says she's been around for so long. Nobody really knows her in the movement, but she's all of a sudden this big hit wonder. And now we're going to come out with this. And the first thing, for her first contact with you is sending nude pictures.
She sent me a nude photo. And then, because I went to reach out and contact her, and that's when I noticed the messages. Because, I get several hundred messages a day. And, so, I can't answer them all because there's so many. And, that's when, I typed in her name because I was going to message her. And that's when I received a message from her. I opened it up. It was a nude photo of her. So, I just blew it off because unfortunately I also received multiples of them too. So I just blew that off, and, I seen she was doing some campaigning for someone whose case I had heard about. And then through a common mutual acquaintance, which, I don't want to associate him with her, but, unfortunately he is, Brian Kinter and stuff. I figured, okay, let's sit here and see what this woman is about. So we started chopping it up. And then she supposedly checked me out with a bunch of different people, found out I was legit, and found out that how I've helped people throughout the years. And she reached out to me on a particular occasion to help out another woman who I'm still working with and I'm still helping. And, she started singing my praises to everyone. And then the Paul Cummings incident happened where they basically put him in a hospital when they shouldn't have.
I remember that.
I was able to get, make some proper phone calls, video it. I was able to speak to the right people. And then next thing you know, Paul's getting released within a 20-minute phone call of mine to get Paul released because I usurped an authority that no one else has. And with that being said, she then sent this woman from Florida to my house. Okay. But now during this time, I was just researching, finding out different things. I did some background on her, how she had punished for being a mother prior to punished for protecting. And, so I dug into the research on punished for being a mother. So I went and I found her business charter. And, of course, I printed that out and stuff like that. And then, I seen she had a bunch of social workers, judges, and people like that on her friends list and stuff. So then I started checking out private vendors, to see if she was a private vendor with many organizations and stuff like that, because I'm one with the VA. Mm-hmm. I'm also one with like Section 8, we're vendors and stuff like that. So I started checking that out and found out that, because, that's public records, I found out that she was a private vendor for DCFS. Oh, this woman. And then I found out, I dug a little deeper. And of course, with FOIA, I was able, and also it's online. You could do the research yourself. It's online. Look under punished for being a mother. And then you're going to have to see the private vendors. And I found out she received 3 payments totaling over $90,000.
Okay. So you have this proof and this evidence that she's received $90,000.
Over 90. I believe if I remember correctly, the figure was about 93,000 some odd change.
So 93,000. And she is a private vendor for DCFS.
Mm-hmm. She's a private vendor for Children's Services, and I actually posted copies of the canceled checks on my old page in Facebook, and I posted it all on there, and along with a bunch of other things. And I was working on doing a full expose prior to me running into, the conflict I ran into. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting there going to do a full expose on her and that whole organization, including others that were involved directly with that organization, because then also at the same time, John Anderson, started finding out a whole bunch of information. And it's like we were feeding off each other. Like he was posting stuff I didn't know about that he found out about. I was posting stuff that I found that he didn't know about. And, then slowly and surely the sick, twisted picture came into play. And, I'm seeing all these desperate parents reaching out to her, and, she's sitting there talking all this smack. And then, me personally, I have my character flaws myself, and I'm a Christian by faith. But when a woman who sends me a nude sits here and tries to act like she's Mother Teresa, and her first message to me is a nude, which, by the way, I tried to post that for everyone to see, but Facebook blocked me for 30 days after that. Because nobody else wants to see that either.
See, here's the issue that we have with Facebook is that Facebook doesn't always do the blocking. There is a team that Francesca has put together.
That is absolutely the truth. That is absolutely the truth. And they will report falsely to Facebook, and they will just keep on going and going. And she will literally have 100 people. I know for a fact, because I was actually texting with Holly Dyke, that she paid Rudy Orr $100 to do a video about me and to try to dog me. Now, Rudy Orr is a white supremacist.
Right.
And I'm an immigrant. I'm a Croatian. That's the Croatian Spartan Viking general nickname that I have. And, for a white supremacist to contact me or challenge me in a public format claiming he's an Aryan and this and that. Well, I was born in the Balkans, So when somebody does that and they speak out of ignorance because they don't even know what a true Aryan is, and they come at me with this hate message, I take great offense to that, especially being an immigrant myself, And, so now I'm starting to see everybody she's associated with, like John Astor, a convicted pedophile, or stuff like that. And she's claiming to work for, families to help them out. And, I'm finding more and more often as I expose her, more and more people. So my message intake went from like 300 a day, 300 to 400 a day, to now I'm getting like 800-900 messages.
Right.
So
let me
ask you something, Monte. So basically, what really, like you say, with all that being said, like how do you feel about her tactics and her techniques about how she does her thing, and how it does, if it helps people, or why doesn't it help people? What could you tell? Basically what I'm asking is her techniques and tactics. What do you feel about them that can hurt people, or maybe so-called help people? I don't know. But What would you tell people that don't know about her, or anything else like that, in your opinion?
In my opinion, 100%, that woman is a master deceiver. Her techniques and tactics, her MO seems to be the same throughout. At first, she's all nice, all willing to help you, tells you all these lies, acts like the stuff that her and her organization are doing are great and phenomenal. Look, we return all these kids home. They have not one kid returned home. They've cost multiple families their children. Off the top of my head, I know 16 families that lost their children for good. One lady in PA, which, she's also on another show exposing her. So I'm not going to share her name, but she was also part of this organization, and she reached out to me before, and, I warned her not to listen to Fran, not to listen to Chris Hallett. I warned her not to do this, and, that it would cost her kids. I gave her an absolute specified, if you did that, here's what's going to happen. And, here it is, about 10 months later, every word of mine that I said to her came to manifest the truth. Her tactics are she'll sit there, befriend you, act all nice to you, offer to help you, tell you to join her Zoom class. You have to pay for it, though. She's going on this sovereign citizen rant and talking about different affidavits. Oh, look, here's a miracle cure for every single case with this 90-page affidavit. She completely deceives people. The people she works with are nothing but deceivers.
So basically, your volunteer work that you do, and I'm well aware of it because you've helped me before as well.
Yep.
Your workload increase that you volunteer your own personal time for has maybe doubled and would be fair to say tripled. And this is why maybe that you're so upset because you're seeing all this happen to these people and their children, and I know you, Ante, so I know you always want to help the world. You give somebody to serve their back. I get that. And believe me, I vouch for that. But is this why you feel the need to do what we're doing right now? You want to let other people know?
Not only that, this woman's in absolute danger. Her herself, and I'll be honest, she even tried to come at me in my case. Like when she sent this woman up for Florida, they basically tried to set me up to take a fall for, like, it was claimed that, I was voyeuring this woman, like I was video recording this woman in the shower and stuff like that. And they tried to make it to be something it wasn't. Now, since then, that woman has also been betrayed by Fran, and that woman has apologized to me and asked me for forgiveness, and I forgave her. And she said she was instructed by Fran to do so, and she didn't understand why. But, she was scared. She was desperate. She didn't know what to do. Fran sent her up from Florida to Ohio, to be under my protection. And because, what was relayed to me is that this woman had a death threat issued to her, which I consider that very serious. But at the same time, there's nothing I could do for her down in Florida. So I told her to come up to Ohio and, we would protect her, and me and my men would see to her safety, and we did that. And
I tell you, it's let me see how to word it. If and I'm not doubting you. Mm-hmm. If I was, I'd tell you. I'm not doubting you. But what I'm saying is, if this is all true, you're right. This isn't something that has to be known, and it is dangerous. And if all these things are true, to have a hold on somebody's life like that when they're desperate in that situation, that's a scary thing to be out there. I mean, we all know evil is out there. We get it. But if something like that is within our people, that we're all trying to help each other and do things like that, that's a scary thing.
Right. Yeah. And I think the other thing is we need to talk about some of the people that she's hanging around. We mentioned the name Rudy Orr. And all you have to do out there is go to this website. It's called When Hate Wears a Badge. And it actually looks like this. Nice. And it goes on to talk about how Rudy Orr's father was a white supremacist, part of the KKK, that he was a sheriff in North Carolina and would get Rudy Orr out as a young child, and they would hang black people. This is no joke, people. And these are the kind of people that Francesca seems to be hanging around. And I'm giving the doubt. I'm playing the devil's advocate here by saying, hey, the facts are what the facts are. You all need to make your own decisions. But these seem to be the facts. And what Ante is telling you seems to be true.
I tell you, Jay, you just sprung that on me. Because I never knew that. I'm gonna read. You know me. I always research my own stuff. But I'm looking at that and I'm like, yes. I never knew that.
But when I found out Rudy Orr was a white supremacist, it wasn't from that article. It was actually from, I believe it was a federal case that I seen online. I just did a Google name search, and it came up. And it was a court case where it straight out listed a bunch of individuals as the defendants, him being one of them.
Yes, Augustus Invictus. Yes.
Yeah, and they just went forth, and this is the kind of element this is the last kind of element we need to put ourselves around when we're going through custody battles or battles with DCS or whatever the case might be. When you're sitting here trying to fight for your children, the last persons you need to be associated with are pedophiles such as John Astor, white supremacists such as Rudy Orr. Then there's other women that I was working with this other woman. Her initials are ML, and me and several other good advocates out there, which I'll give a shout out to their names because, people might have differences of opinions, but my experience personally with these advocates is that they truly care. So, we'll talk about Shar Angelestro. We'll talk about Tracy Ross. We'll talk about, several other people that are also in support and try to help, such as, Chris Odom just offering, help and support through words. And, just there's many different advocates out there that we could keep on going about. And, with that being said, this is why I felt that this particular show should be focused on the difference between good advocates and bad advocates and the dire need for people to hear these messages, because for this lady, we'll just address her as ML, all she had to do, and she was getting supervised visitation, then they got rid of the supervised visitation because she was being compliant, and they allowed her to have the kids a couple days a week without any supervision. But all she had to do to get her kids back finally was very simply, get her house taken care of. She had several issues, which as a building inspector, I would have red tagged the house. Some of those issues were like leaking gas lines. They had a second floor porch, which, also needed guardrails around it. And, so that had to be, it was just a flat porch, and she had young children. They could walk off and fall off.
Right.
So, these were reasonable things. And Fran stuck her nose in it, caught wind of this woman getting help, and literally convinced this woman to disassociate from those helping her. And within a month afterwards, the woman lost her kids.
Yeah, and I know that you had mentioned, and I have to do this because I have to be impartial. I'm going to show you documentation right now, okay, of what we're saying when we said, number one, that Chris Hallett, that was a part of all of this and was backing Fran. This was happening at the same exact time, okay? So I have to show this because it is actual documentation, okay? So when you all see this, it's going to be what it is, okay? All right, so here is the documentation of Chris's court case. And I know I'm going to echo a little bit here. Okay, but there's one documentation. I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to share another one here with you. And this is very crucial in this case on somebody's claim here. When we're talking about this, we're talking about somebody's children. And this gentleman, basically, when I'm looking at this is bad stuff, people. Honestly, you don't want somebody representing your case when this kind of thing comes up. Okay?
And to be perfectly honest, there was a time where me and Chris, worked together, where we were close with each other. And, I'll be honest, Chris even deceived myself. So, you got to understand, people. A lot of people call me like a juggernaut, when they talk about the legalities and stuff like that I'm a juggernaut of law. And, it's one of those things where, don't feel bad if you're deceived. I myself was deceived. But when I mentioned at first how there was me and two other individuals that were talking about who this Fran chick is, Chris Hallett was one of those two other individuals. And, he kept on saying he's keeping his eye on her. You don't know about her. He's also going to keep an eye. And I was like, it's time for one of us to go in and dig deeper. I'm the most outspoken voice, so it's not going to seem anything out of the ordinary if I do it.
Right. Now, so, I'm gonna read this part to people, okay, because I don't know if they could see it or not. But I'm going to read this part to you. And it says that Chris believes he is empowered by President Trump to operate a private legal alternative that he wants this court to recognize. To the extent the plaintiff challenges the state of Ohio family law rulings, this court has no jurisdiction to do so, and the court declines to entertain the plaintiff's fantasy that he is acting on behest of the president, especially since he does not make claims related to the allegation. So the court will dismiss this action. So when we're talking about this, an actual court case that says he believes it's a fantasy that he was appointed by President Trump, this was not made up. This is exactly what Auntie said before when he was talking to me. He was saying, hey, look, I've seen this document. I know what I'm looking at.
So, Jay, where is that from? Because, again, I never saw that one either. I'm like oblivious to this right now. I'm very curious. I want to read those. I'm going to read them later. But
I'll send those to you for sure.
That's from the Ohio court where Chris tried to go to federal court. And also, people, I want you to know this. Chris Hallett has never won a case, ever. He has never won. He's bounced on people. Like if you look up a federal case, it seems to be the only one you could find of mine online. Well, not the only one, but you'll see one where my case got dismissed without prejudice. I relied on Chris Hallett after paying the man over $20,000. I relied on Chris Hallett to type up a brief while I put together for my federal lawsuit the 18,000 pages of exhibits, the timeline, the whole evidence packet, everything. And all Chris had to do was, do the brief. He was familiar. He knew the ins and outs because we talked daily, several hours a day. We were working together on this, and he knew the ins and outs. All he had to do was type up the brief. And, he told me he sent it electronically into the court. And when I went to the court to turn in the appendix of exhibits, the certificate of interested persons, and all this other good stuff to supplement with the brief that was supposed to be turned in, it was the day before it was due, and I came to find out he never turned it in from the clerk of the Northern District Federal Court. And needless to say, it should have been close to a 40-page brief. Obviously, that's not something I could have put together overnight. So that one case of mine did get dismissed without prejudice. And basically what they wanted me to do is, hey, you put forth the original pro se packet, but, hey, you're failing to state a claim because you didn't put in the brief. So I'm sitting here, I was at complete loss, and, I had to put that on the back burner temporarily until I could do the brief properly myself. And I learned not to rely on Chris Hallett. And this was all about the same time where I flew down to Florida, to meet up with Hallett and another one of their group called Neely Blanchard. And, because, we were supposed to sit here and talk about with E-Clause, because Chris tried to definitely represent me as a partner. He did that fraudulently so he can, basically extort money from me in multiple facets.
Right. And, now, when you said that, I know that there's another live feed that's going to be going on tonight with Raymond and Amelia Schwab. I believe he likes to go by Seraphim now, which is fine. I mean, that's his religious belief. We'll go with that. He's going to go on live with Jennifer Wynn. And from my understanding, Elizabeth Byler will be.
Yes, she's the woman. Tonight. She's the woman from PA I was speaking about. I didn't want to, put her name out.
She'll be making an announcement later tonight about Chris Hallett, and you'll hear that.
And that's the thing. That's the thing where I'm warning these people, you know, because when I went down to Florida and met with them all, you know, met with Chris, met with Neely and stuff like that, that's where I seen Chris's own vendor packet filled out to be a vendor, private vendor for DCFS also. And, you know, he gave it to Neely in an envelope, and he and Neely were in a hotel room. So I asked her if I could see that, plus what he wrote, this thing that he claims was that was submitted to Congress, and that he's working with Congress, which that's a complete lie. Congress laughs him out, you know, every time he tries to file something. But it's a complete lie. But anyway, so I looked over all this, and, you know, that's when I started, because now I highly doubted Chris, because why would you be a private vendor for DCS or Children's Services, whatever you want to call them, and, you know, be part of this? So this movement to protect families, you know, from the bad actors of DCS. Now, I want to make this perfectly clear, and a lot of people, this might burn a lot of people the wrong way, and I apologize if it does, but there are good actors in Children's Services, people who genuinely care about the children, and there are some parents out there, let's face it, because there's some abusive, narcissistic, terrible things that happen to children by these terrible parents, and they shouldn't have their kids.
And Ante, I agree with you 110%. But you know what that is? That's the cold, hard truth, man.
Yeah. And you know what? That might offend some people. It might rub them the wrong way, but not every social worker is a criminal. I also know that, social workers are completely overloaded in their caseload. You know, teachers start complaining when they get more than 20 to 1 student-teacher ratio. Well, social workers at most should maybe have 25 to 30 of a caseload, and oftentimes you'll find them with 70 to 100 caseloads on their desk. Mm-hmm. And you know what?
They're all good people out there. And listen, I've came across good judges. I've came across good lawyers. They mean well, but the law sometimes is fucked up. You know?
It is.
Things that get dragged out. And listen, there are people like that out there. And listen, I don't hate them all. I've come across some good judges that slammed my case. But then when you go into court and you got to rotate another judge, that judge is soft. This one was harder. And that's what keeps you coming back. But there are good ones out there. I agree with you 110% with that. And
that's what we got to recognize as a movement as a whole is, you know, every batch of apples, you're not going to have, you know, all good apples. You're going to have a couple bad apples that can ruin it for the whole batch.
Right.
You know, so we got to recognize that being the people. Right. And we got to acknowledge that, and we got to understand that. Now, then there's, you know, when it does happen, there's sometimes where these bad apples will come in, fabricate lies, do nothing but that. And we got to call them people out. We got to handle them people accordingly. But also at the same time, sometimes they're just filling out blanks in the paperwork because they're so overloaded with their caseload. Mm-hmm. And literally they don't get paid that much. And literally, you know, their families on the line because maybe it's only a single parent working as a social worker, and they just have to meet the status quo, and they make errors. And here's a real good way to identify if somebody did something criminal versus if somebody honestly made a mistake. They will fess up to it if they made a mistake, and they will make it right.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So
and before we came on,
distinguish.
Yeah, before we came on tonight, you know, I forgot to ask for your, you know, because we had this thing going on with Miko and how great that he was doing that interview with Kirk, and I'll admit that it was a great interview. I thought it was fantastic. But just so you know, there's my driver's license, John, you know, and here's my VA card. And so you can see my credentials. You know, there's my other VA card. There's my Kroger's card, just in case you need that one. And there's my library card. It's also in my name, John. So you can see my credentials, and you know who I am.
Yeah, and you know, and the funny part about that is, you know, people like John, you know, they try to claim they're doing great work, which, you know, here's a couple credentials of mine. You know, here's a couple credentials of mine. So, you know,
it looks like I've got another guest here who would like to possibly come on. So I'm going to see if I can't pull her in right now.
Oh, there she is.
Hi, Elizabeth. How are you doing?
Hey.
Hey. So it looks like you've also got some news that's going to be coming out. I know you'll be talking with Jennifer Wynn and everybody there. The news potentially on Christopher Hallett. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk about Christopher Hallett and what you'd like to get out there to the public.
Yep. It's absolutely atrocious what these people are doing with their false affidavits, their false accusing of people when they're the ones that are actually ruining the cases. And I have proof of it in my own case. I can't even sit here and explain to you what I'm going through right now after losing because they're out there doing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've had lots of dealings with Chris, and you've had lots of dealings with Fran. Yes. What do you want to say about that to the people out there who would go out there and would trust people with, you know, like Fran, with their case?
I want to tell every parent out there, do not fall for their scams. Do not fall for anything that they're saying, anything that, even if they have paperwork in black and white to show you. Do not believe it, because I did. And now I'm going to have to be without my kids for the rest of my life because they have ruined my case beyond repair. Mm-hmm. Literally.
Mm-hmm. Well,
now, real quick, let me interject, Jay. Now, Elizabeth, you know, I mean, you were part of this Punish for Protecting organization. And then, you know, I know that me and you also, you came over to my house, you know, and basically, I want you to describe to people, you know, your experience with me, and then also describe, you know, the warnings I gave you, and just let it be known as what it is, the truth.
Okay, so I'm going to say this about Ante. I went over to his house, and I was there all night going through my paperwork. He helped me put my case in order. He had it ready to go. I was allowed to print stuff out for free. He didn't charge me nothing. I'm telling you, when I say I wish I would have listened to Ante and Charlene and Randy Davis and everybody that tried to warn me about these people, I wish to God today I would have listened. Because I'm telling you what, them going out there and talking about exposing and taking down Pennsylvania pissed off everybody on my case, including the judge and the whole county, so much that Chris actually had sat there and threatened the whole judiciary in Pennsylvania. So before I even walked into court, I had lost.
And, you know, that's something that me and you discussed. And when you were talking about how Chris was putting it together, and I just want to make clear, I strictly warned you, do not have that turned in. Do not listen to what he's saying. It's going to destroy your case. You know, me and you were already in communications over the phone with the other parties involved in your case, and we were working out a feasible solution for you to get to see your kids and everything. And then I warned you that if Chris got to enter stuff in your case, what would happen? How true did those words ring?
You told me three things. You said, you're going to lose your children. Number two, you're going to lose your children. If you keep following Fran and you keep doing what these people tell you to do, you're going to lose your children. And I did. Forever.
Well, you know, Lord willing.
On a case that was very winnable.
Yeah, and you did. You did have a winnable case, and I could say that with absolute affirmity because I could back it up with the precedents and the case laws through the appellate court that said your case would have won, and many other courts. So it's one of those things where, you know, people. This is what I'm talking about. the difference between good advocates and bad advocates. As you heard Elizabeth say she stayed over, she came from PA to my house when I was living in North Royalton. She came with somebody else. They stayed over my house. When they got there, it was late at night. I took them out. We went out and ate. She stayed pretty much the weekend. There was also an issue going on with her marriage between her and her husband. I was able to help them reconcile that and get their marriage back to where it should be. And these are things, I believe in the total, the total healing of the entire situation, not just someone's court case, but also, the trauma they suffered, their mental, their physical, their spiritual being. I believe that.
You believe?
I want to ask Elizabeth. Hey, Elizabeth, it's Pete. How you doing?
Hi. All right. I'm a disaster right now, but trying to hang in there.
Right, and I'm sorry for everything that you're going through, but like I wanna ask you a question, like for people who don't know, or because again, I don't know Fran. I have no dealings with her. I'm friends with Chris.
Yeah.
I'm not defending anybody, and I'm not undefending anybody. But my question is to you, and that you want to tell other people, like how did you get involved and with getting help, and why? Like what brought you to somebody in the movement, just even in general?
I was told by Chris and John Gentry and everybody on Kirk's Law Corner that they are winning cases. And I was desperate. It's not your lighter. Put it.
And also just so we're clear, because back at that point in time, the cases that they were talking about winning is the cases I myself were winning. And again, that's people riding on the coattails of success.
Hey, can I go back in? I have somebody here that I have to go talk to real quick.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
But
my thing was, Ante, like, because I'm unaware of everybody's story in full. I get dribs and drabs off the net and all that other stuff. So basically what I want is people to understand, why was somebody put in this situation? How did they get in this situation? And they're on, like, you know what I mean? Because that's going to help people, and some people it's